single time it kind of looks possible, right? He's really doing his best, putting up a fight in every single scenario right there. So incredible stuff out of him, and all of his efforts, and of course his trios as well, are going to be putting them in third place on that consistency leaderboard. So they should be sitting pretty comfortable, I would imagine, at 205 points going into the last game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we only had one kind of questionable game, right, which was their first game. They came in 14th place, no eliminations. But, you know, again, I'm kind of curious to see, because you kind of mentioned the fact that Donnie's left alone. We've seen them a couple times now being like a duo situation, and then, yeah, it kind of goes down to Donnie. So I would love to kind of see them, like, sure up whatever that is going into grand finals, right? Because we're playing for a global championship spot, right? Like, we got to make sure we are playing at our absolute peak going into last game. Now, of course, as we look, 124 points is 11th place. So that, think about that as like 6th place, okay? Think about basically if we end in the top 10, that's our top 5. So the difference between 10 and 11th right now is only 2 points. And then from 10th up to 9th, obviously the 161 to 126. So it's gonna come down. It's gonna come down to the wire here for a lot of these trios.
Yeah, especially with how top heavy the top of our placement leaderboard is.
Nothing dumb up in
Clix's trio
top
in
9,
fifth, going down
where
to
do you
even
make
Skittles'
it?
trio down in 8th place. They have such a bigger jump than what we see Noisy, Creon, and Tony in. Honestly, there are so many trios that could easily take away the 10th place spot. But I think as far as looking at Skittles, Dash, and Bryce right now, they are sitting relatively confidently in our 8th place for the leaderboard. And as far as they're playing on the low ground, this is, you know, something that we kind of expect to see out of them. Bryce is an incredible player. I've been watching him for so long, especially back when it was Bryce and Bolts, and I kind of like to see that Bryce is locked back in, and we're starting to see that now in these games over the last few weeks. They haven't been exactly where they want to be, but I think that they're starting to kind of heat things up. But is it too little too late, Vivid?
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be sitting pretty comfortable as well. We've talked about a couple of trios that are kind of doing well on that leaderboard. Now it's time to talk about a trio that I think a lot of us would have expected to be doing a little bit better right now, right? Muzz's trio right now kind of struggling, not even in that top 10 right there. So they're going to need an incredible last game, whether that be just, you know, second place, a lot of eliminations, or of course that guaranteed win qualification going into the grand finals. But with that being said, there's going to be a lot of other teams also kind of looking towards that win, right? Anybody kind of lower towards the, you know, the back end of that leaderboard.
I mean, yeah, Muzz right now is tied up with Noah W Plays for 102 points right now, which is well within reach of being able to break into that top 10, but there's just only so many trios that can make it into the grand final. Zeke, at some point, we have to cut it off.
Yeah, that is tough, but just think, right? If someone in that top, like, 10 gets a VR, then the whole lobby is going to go up a placement, right? So the game's not done for Muzz and company. We come in right now, we just have a really stellar game. We could look to potentially make that top 5, but anything goes. One game left to go. How does it all end? Let's find out. Casters, over to you.
I don't want this to end. Let's just do another 5 games, but it is here, Monster, the last game of the day. And honestly, the implications of what could go down, going down early, getting a few more eliminations, winning the game could just change up so much.
Yeah, well, luck for us. Tomorrow we got Group 3, so it's not over this weekend just yet. But yeah, you know what? The biggest difference is going to come down to this last game, so let's jump on the battle bus. Group 2, Game 5 is about to conclude. Here we go. We're kicking things off now, Jacob. And, you know, I was starting to think about the point threshold. Essentially, you're hoping a team in that top, like, you know, the 200-point threshold range, one of those guys win a game. Because otherwise, it is looking like a mile and a half between 190 and everyone else down below. So, realistically, at this point, I think those top positions are pretty secured, and you might be fighting for 2 spots.
And I see it right now. I see one of the best drop spots on the map. Formerly a Batman Joe, Zax, and Slepsy. Brutal boxcars, uncontested. I was thinking, who might move over there? There's so many still contested fights going on, and now one of the best spots opened up, and nobody's gonna take it. And with everything on the line right here, Jake, Doggo, Oakrun, they have to come out on top in this if they want to keep their FNCS alive here this weekend.
Oh, that's one down already. Jake falling to the hands of PH Zen. He got the shotgun first, put some significant damage down. Phaser hunts down Oakrun on the backside of the zone there as well. And all of a sudden, Lone Wolf Lair looking to get cleaned up pretty quickly here. King's got the last player. I thought he had in his sights, but it seems like they just lost him for a second there. Look at that. They're back like they never left. And you know what? That's going to be a huge upset for everyone else in the lobby. We just talked about how much of a difference maker they were. When PH, Zen King, and FaZe are in the lobby, those end games look way more contested, if you will, because they're a team they don't stop the action, right, on all the layers. They clearly know how to handle themselves. So this is going to be a very good game now, given that they're going to be in the lobby.
Yeah, this is almost like a blessing and a curse for the lobby because they're already inside of that bubble, 200 plus points already. So all they have to do is win, which frees up a spot at the bottom of the leaderboard. Easier said than done, though, because every team that they take down is a dream that they're crushing and forcing another set of players into that last chance qualifier. Well, only 3, Monster. Only 3 will make it out and advance to the grand finals.
Yeah, I was just looking at the map trying to see if Clix and crew were going to make that fast dash south, but it seems like they're kind of going back to the old trusty loot their drop strategy. Meanwhile, K's son kind of taking the fight here. They end this one pretty quickly. Fade, Tofi, and Ol kind of jumped in here as well. So Demon's Domain having a lot of action right now come the last game. So seems like everyone's got the gloves off here. Alexson and K's getting their potential first set of Elim points here in quite a few rounds.
Ooh, nice, because Tofi hit a nice shot underneath. He takes on a good amount of damage from the second one as well, if they can somehow close out this 2v2, but Suns is there. That's the 3rd member of this trio closing in on this distance and giving them a huge numbers advantage in this fight. Couple Sentinel pumps going down, passing around the Chug as well. There's big pots, so that early game damage that they just got, Monster out the window, no longer in existence.
Yeah, I was gonna say the ambush was their best bet there, kind of evening things up a little bit, kind of slowing one out the fight, but yeah, Alex Tung's team might just respect it and put it all on the line for the dub now. Now, I gotta say, seeing that Super Sprite make it to the end game last game was definitely exciting in the hands of Muzz from the high ground. Super destructive, but it's one of those things like, how do you justify carrying that over misforms or dashes? You kind of can't, right? You want the mobility in most cases, but that high ground with that laser is pretty strong.
Shreds through builds. It makes it that much easier for the Spire and the Fury to break its way through. It was Void. Cash percent just trying to disengage altogether towards the outside. Shiny Shafts. I kind of spoke about this earlier. What are the teams? Golden, Mason, and Chimp qualifying from this spot on the map. It did free it up, but it was only for so long before more and more teams took notice and kind of took that position away. And it almost makes me kind of wonder, is anybody going to be brave enough to go over to Brutal, or is Clix, Yamzo, and Higgs going to get back-to-back uncontested POIs? We'll see there shortly, but Noah plays Clixie Chaos Gaming, 102 points. They have 2 big scenarios here for qualifying, Monster. They either get in through that victory royale. That one's going to be hard, but still easy at the same time. Otherwise, you're playing a huge math game throughout the course of this game, watching your elimination feed, hoping those players above you go down relatively early, or at least outside of the top 17.
Yeah, that problem is there's like 60 points separating them, so they really need to get that team that was holding 5th kind of out of the equation. Otherwise, I mean, the gap is pretty significant, and it's going to require a huge end game for most of these teams. I mean, even Creon, Tony, and Noisy, although they have, mathematically better odds here, it's still quite a stretch. It's not going to be easy by any imagination.
Just trying to look at, the storm damage overall, and it's still Tony, Noisy, and Creon. Almost 1,000 more storm damage than the 2nd place team. It just goes to show that their whole game plan of today's tournament revolves around finding some teams in storm, getting damage, and realistically, Monster, those are the isolated fights that you do have with less chance of those third parties closing in. It's Annex team on top of the peak of that mountain, just trying to use that elevation advantage for as long as possible, especially if the zone allows it and rotates those teams in their direction.
Getting a little update here from Clix, Yamzo, Higgs. Kind of checking out their overall situation. Team spotted up north. They're going right back into the action here. We've already got one of possibly the two, but no, this is actually a fresh team. This Dozier's trio.
You want to know why I know they want to fight him? That Superman sprite in Higgs' inventory. That he's going to use that to break through some of these builds and try to get damage that much easier. Click's already started the fight, getting that first knock on the Dozier. And you're seeing both of those remaining members of that team disperse into two different directions. One towards the resistance base, one all the way towards the north. That way, if they do get chased down, that kind of ups their chance at survival. Maybe one of them's able to get the reboot cards on back. We'll figure out if they can even get their first teammate back here shortly.
Another standoff here on the outer edge. So Creon's team kind of gave up their position to chase even further, and now there's another team watching in the distance, getting ever so closely. Oh, he's got to finish this fight quick. Face the wrath of a new team right now. There it is. They start to turn online here. Oh, it's Degen's team is down on the low ground right now.
Yeah, it might be Degen, Slate, and Jerry, and you're seeing them trying to separate themselves. They probably heard the footsteps, the audio visuals of that third-party team closing in, so they're just trying to move their way on out. Kind of let the other team down below take a lot of that distraction. But Tony hasn't fully gotten out just yet. He's still creeping through, gathering this information, the intel. Is it something that he wants to lurk around, maybe try to find an easy one-shot on either one of these trios?
Nice little tag right there. You see Tentic, Mono, Yinks, like not even trying to move right now. They've had a bit of a tough time today, you know, finding themselves scoring anything here so far. Noisy, Tony, and Creon. Kind of waiting this one out, trying to see what this other team wants to do. No one's really pulling the trigger just yet. Let's catch up with Phaser, Pigeon, and King right now. Lone Wolf Lair kind of just on the outskirts here.
Just wondering, is that the same solo from the beginning? Chances are it is. And then, what are the odds he has both of those reboot cards in his inventory, having to wait there for as long as he had up until this point? As it does look like King, Phaser, Pigeon rotating over towards Brutal Boxcars. That Spire is up for them to try to get not only XP, but the amount of loot that you're able to get before they continue to rotate towards the south, because that's exactly where the zone is pulling yet again.
Yeah, gotta get moving here. But they're playing the outsides. They're looking for teams so they can get some damage right on these outskirts here. Who's those late movers? Dash, Bryce, and Skittles. This is that third overall positioned trio in the lobby who's played so exceptionally well today so far. Just keeping us in the running.
Yeah, they already have the island locked down. They have the medallion. They have the extra heals. And now they're setting up. It's almost similar to what we've seen in Group 1 with Agers, Acorn, and Pollo in kind of a line formation. Two different surge towers. They're using the island as well just to give so much elevation advantage. And they're basically at the edge of zone, knowing all teams are going to have to rotate to them. So as long as they wait, be patient, they will have those opportunities. Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo just get torn apart. Higgs dropped down to 97 HP. Clicks knocked all together. Yamzo's just trying to be the hero. There's only so much one person can take, especially with the Superman sprite beaming its way through those builds. That's Muzz. We saw them earlier on in a contested fight to start the tournament off.
Shadow Sphinx holding it down so far. Muzz having a reset here. Higgs and Yamzo left on a back foot. Clicks already kind of falls right now, so it seems like they rotated kind of into the wrong team right now. Yamzo, Higgs likely want nothing to do with this. They definitely have picked up the card. We talked about that, you know, Superman sprite coming into handy, but it's almost as if Higgs is not even conditioned to use it. There it is. Now starting to think about it, but no, this is actually Muzz's trio who's, you know, clearly comfortable with utilizing it. Muzz seems to be a favorite of the lasers. Yeah, they're going to be pretty good with that. In any case, a 2v3 against Yamzo Higgs is no easy battle. Gotta respect them. So off they go.
Yeah, that's kind of the mind games, because even with that elimination, you see them move up to like 105 points, kind of slowly making their way up the top of the leaderboard, but they have to essentially be close to perfect in order to get the qualification spot here through the group stages. A couple mishaps in games 1 and 2 kind of put their backs up against the wall, really forced to perform here in the last and final game of the day. Donnie, Joji, Seek, close to some historic or honestly entertaining clutches here today, but with or without those 205 points, all but got their spot secured as well. And we talk about a few of these teams, you know, Clix' team, this team here, if they win the game, that opens up a spot at the bottom, kind of alleviating some of the stresses of some of these others.
Yeah, gots to look at the zone right here. This is the first we've seen it pull this far south. Oh, and it's going to continue to do that. Okay, so we're getting some serious elevation in this end game. This is going to be a wild one for sure. I expect not many to survive the highs and lows that are going to come here. You know, it makes you wonder, like, the more difficult terrain to play probably just favors people that have been here before, right? Those seasoned trios even more, because there's so much learnings that you take from those more difficult end games. But let's catch up with Yamzo, Higgs, and Click. So they got the reboot card like we talked about, went right back into the Outlaw Oasis, get the pickup here, kind of put them right back in the game.
That stat just made me laugh. They lead the lobby at elims, damage, builds, this, that, 12 other categories. What can they not do other than win a game? But they can prove us wrong here in the game 5, because all those stats for them is all about proving a point, making a statement here today. And I think teams have been sleeping on them the past couple days as possible FNCS champions, and that finals grows closer and closer.
Yeah, most definitely. That elusive win, you know? Gotta hit your shots in the end game.
Okay. They have that mountaintop, that peak that we saw them kind of make their way to, but one team is slowly but surely trying to sneak their way up that mountain. But it's only a duo for now. You see Mystic is separated, a little bit of distance between them and their counterpart, and he's actually going the other way up the mountain as well. I'm not sure if that trio up above is taking notice, but this might be an opportunity for them to kind of surprise attack. Only 12 points. This could be a little risky, but depending on where they're at in Storm Surge and overall loot, it might be a must.
I mean, I respect the decision to also just kind of wait this one out. Like, look at all these teams on the move right now. Monty, Scuffies, and Cole, like, kind of talk about, they have a real chance to take a qual spot right now through consistency. A player right there, and they almost get the siphon on him, but he spots him out just in the nick of time. This is what I talk about when teams like are close to qualing. I feel like they start playing different. This is like where you start slowing down. You're doing things you don't normally do, right? And all of a sudden, you might just find yourself outed. But this is a huge elimination here waiting to happen. He's got, what was it, a med kit and 3 bandages. So big heals here that they desperately need. Siphon kicks in as well. So this is all just welcome pickups here.
Kind of seeing the lobby being plagued right now, but so much activity early on. But Clix, Yamzo, and Higgs, they find themselves at another elimination. Not too worried about their rotation. You see a lot of mobility in their inventory, but the bottom of that bunker, I talked about it early on, you do have that free rift that you can take. And where the zone's pulling south, they can easily take that rift, stay out of zone, and just rotate all the way to the slow side of the zone. But you're seeing how they were able to get that elimination. That team thought they were trapped in there, but they were able to fight their way on out and pick up eliminations.
Yeah, this is how you do it. You know, time and time again, you see teams kind of play the bunker very passively, wait it out. But now when you got Higgs and Yamzo just ready to push out, find their tags in the process. Creon, Noisy, and Tony make their way out of the zone here. They spent a lot of time in that storm. I'm just thinking back to that Cease Storm Sickness play now. Spent the first 4 or 5 zones in there and just couldn't make the distance, so Tony's team's got to be on the timer at this point.
Yeah, or at least at the bare minimum, I hope they were proactive enough to start to really change certain aspects of their game, realizing how long they're staying in towards zone, because that would itself take away a win condition of being able to take it to heal off if they took too much damage. And since they're already rotated over towards Demon's Domain, I hope they've kind of learned as each and every single game's passed, even though they're barely above that damage threshold, at least they're here in zone. They positioned accordingly and have a chance to look out into the distance and try to target some of those teams for damage.
Yeah, Storm Sickness is basically AKA you spent half of the total game time like in the zone. Like that is just not feasible. The game just cancels you out. Clixigs Yamzo on the rotate right now for Elim, so they're just right back in it like they never left here. And we talked about these mountains that, you know, they're going to start affecting this end game. And look at this move that they got to make up and over. Luckily, no teams are kind of perched over to see downwards, but it's costing them material, misformed charges, and all types of other resources now.
Taking a moment of silence right now. This is a team you do not want to be rotating next to. 227 points, well inside of the bubble, and a team that is not scared to go for high ground. We've already seen it a few times today. And if you're one of those teams that's barely in or outside of the bubble, I would steer clear from this rotation. And that's Tony, Noisy, and Creon just towards the right, rotating in tandem. And it's going to be a far rotation, and it's going to go up a few different mountains on the way there.
A little surf cube in hand, so you can just tell that they don't have exactly the type of loadout that they would like to take into endgame, but PhD leading the charge with that surf cube, getting the most out of it. Meanwhile, quick update for Donnie here. 205 alongside Joji and Seek. No elims this time around, but plenty of damage on the board so far. One of the furthest to rotate here once again. Seems like they kind of enjoy being in the back of the pack. It's a team in the water trying to rotate.
Something better than nothing. They just got to be careful. That's a team that kind of like landed in stealing the southern portion of Demon's Domain's loot. Everybody's still trying to figure out where they're going to make their way up the mountain. You're seeing a very kind of even elevation change for the most part. And I think for this next couple of zones, the entire lobby's got to be crossing their fingers right here. Don't go north. Don't go north, because that will be a roller coaster of emotions. As you can see, Yamzo and Higgs just pick up a few more eliminations, kind of ending runs in this group stage, forcing these teams essentially to go through the LCQ.
It's perfect too. Right on the side of the mountain, they get much more materials essentially delivered to them now. So it's really the key position and time to kind of get these eliminations. This is tough for Clixie, Noah, and Chaos. They got to go up and over now. The zone's going to pull far west. And they're already halfway through their material count. And I'm not seeing any misforms on this inventory right now, at least not for Noah here. Great usage of the dash to kind of hop his way across there, keeping the momentum up. But just all in all, look at this clean rotate. Otherwise, it would have been a very difficult one to kind of time there. Higgs' team still going crazy here.
Listen does go. Oh, Hayes follows. That's very, very unfortunate for them, because this is essentially their drop spot over here. Obviously, more times than not, you don't think it's gonna go to Shogun Solitude, but if they would have just set up on this side of the map, they would kind of probably positioned better off than most of the teams. As Joji, Donnie, Agers, we've seen them kind of behind the pack, zone after zone. It continuously is pulling towards the west. The blessing here for most of these teams is there's not too many elevations or too many changes in this zone. But Monster, after this one, if we go west, if we go east, or even far enough north, that's where it's going to continue to get tough.
You know, it is interesting that like they can play late like that because they have misforms. You know, it kind of makes sense. Pressure comes in, we just form out, right? We get into a whole new like 50 meters across, no problem. Scuffy's Monty, Cole, Tournament running the life right now. Pressures this team to the point to where they pull out the med miss there. Very nicely done. So just kind of forcing them out of that position. Look at that, pushing them off completely there. It's going to ease up all their high ground first. They can start looking to other teams.
That's so
Meanwhile, Creon gets taken. Noisy now by himself. Oh, doesn't see where Joji's at. Their tournament's going to go in and come to an end. That's a big elimination for Donnie's team there.
They're literally stuck, hoping and praying everybody below them on the leaderboard goes down. and then everybody above them, any team above them for that matter, somehow wins, because that'll free up the spot on the leaderboard. Dash, Bryce, Skittles, that's one of those teams that we are talking about. Starting this one essentially in 4th place when it comes to that consistency leaderboard, 8th place overall. They just need to do enough to hold on, but it's only the top 16. Only one team of placement points have set in. And now Scuffy's, Monty, and Cole. This team is 5th on the consistency leaderboard, so essentially they are setting the line that teams need to follow.
No, what's so nice about that wide shot, it just gave you a true visual on like how the best teams are elevated up and over the most treacherous areas. And you know, look at that, they just know to be away from that low ground congestion. You just don't want to be down there. The rotate starts to come through. Somehow though, at the front side of the rotate, Shadow, Muzz, and Sphinx have managed to find themselves still standing in this game, kind of recovered from the fallings before clashing with Team Clicks. High ground's got Rogue, Zip, and Polis right now situated up. Big commitments here through material counts as they start to kind of de-escalate their way through this zone here. But this is the Canyon Crossing. It's called that for a reason. And they are way up top there.
Oh my god, it's so too.
It's just a struggle, and kind of like you said it yourself, investing so many materials. It's only the 8th zone. We haven't had too many drastic cutbacks just yet. 206 and counting, over 1,000 damage for Dash, Bryce, and Skittles. Just continue to focus every team, those audio visuals. If they see a footstep in that direction, they just kind of let it loose. But you can see Skittles, only 83 medium ammo bullets left, and they finally target out the high ground. Polis, Rogue, and Zip, they get shot down, but luckily for them, they do have the misform, so no fall damage for them. You see Higgs kind of double stepping, hesitating for a moment. Is this the time? Do we take high ground, or is that zone too early?
Well, Zip's gonna go ahead and bounce back here, so seems like they get a little bit more time to kind of recycle these materials here. That's actually perfect for them. Can't really ask for anything better than that, and that's going to force the low ground teams to force their material counts to start being used here. Meanwhile, Skittles is going to have to fend for himself here. Loses Bryce and Dash right now. The finishes come through from the other team on the other side of the wall. That is unfortunate timing for him, but hey, little delivery for him there. He's trying to get that med miss. Needs to get the misform as well. The pressure starting to come through. But look at this, Clicks. Higgs, Yams are now positioned up over some other teams here. Looking for their next refresher. There it is. Nice pickup. Insta misform as well.
Ooh, almost overhops that one, but it only drops down, gets the loot. You see immediately dropping down those builds for Yamso is Donnie. Seek, they're kind of stuck as a duo. He reached the other side of the zone, but as soon as he does, it forces a cutback on the other side. One more mischarge that he's going to have to use, but Seek separated from his team. They're essentially playing this one as 2 separate solos, waiting for that moment. They can't reunite box to box, but Clicks, Yamso, and Higgs, that's Muzz, that's Shadow on the other side. They do not have any spots secure. They have to go ahead and get some more points. Top 14, barely any placement so far in this game.
Look at that. Higgs, Yamso, Clicks land on another team looking to met this at the front side. And it's PH, Zen, Phaser, King, Monty's team in there as well. Let's not forget Monty and them needed just a couple more points. Well, they're going to have to clutch this one out. Here, Skittles, Bryce, Dash now 215 points. So it's all about consistency for these guys down at the bottom here. They need these points. They need to maintain just enough consistency here. And who's gonna win? Still got King playing the backside of the zone. If Crash Trio doesn't pay attention, they'll be straight ambush from behind.
Even Cole was able to find a couple more eliminations. Cause just there on the other side. You're seeing Skittles hesitate for good reason. Zone's cutting on over. He doesn't want to end up in a fight at the backside of the zone overall. Zip still on ultimate high ground. He is in the clouds waiting for his team in the AOK. Skittles going up. Sees how far away high ground actually is with no builds to get up there. At the last misforward charge used, it's almost all or nothing here for Skittles as he's bouncing around. He still does have that medallion, shouting a little bit of his location.
Stop
just
shooting
trying to stay,
kid, people
out of sight,
naked.
out of mind, basically, as he hops around here. And that is the game plan at the moment. Just keep moving, no builds. Find himself a little position. No, it's Cole's trio. There it is. So I was wondering how many of them were still alive. There's still 2 left on that team trying to clutch this one out.
No,
Muzz
kids.
just crushed from the side there by the hands of Higgs now. Shadow goes and picks him up. Higgs tries to play a side angle, breaks into the ball, dashes behind line just past clicks, and Niamzo cleans things up there. Meanwhile, Donnie and Seek listening to it all go down. Niamzo finally falls now. It was just a matter of time there. And look at the siphon start to add up here. This is a super intense endgame right now. Surely they've gotten enough points. It's going to come down to the win, though, for these other teams that want to go straight to finals. This is all or nothing for Polis.
Yeah, it actually is. The other two's got their spot secured just for staying alive long enough. Scuffy's and them started this game on the line. You got to think a third place, if they get it, is going to be good enough. So we're essentially watching Zip.
No.
We're essentially watching Rogue. Their tournament is on the line. But Donnie from up above, he spoils it all. He takes them down. He advances to the grand finals. But again, Monster, they might have just been gifted. Somebody might have been served a grand final spot on a silver platter because they were already in the top 5.
Okay. That's
Donnie
good.
does it again. He most definitely has manipulated
still not
fate.
enough for much.
They had a lot of points. They were qualified to finals. Whether they won that game or not, the fact that they win means they open up a position, but they pull that other spot away from Polis's trio, whom, by the way, surely did not have enough. Jacob, you couldn't have wrote a better end game for someone here who's gonna get the 5th overall most consistent spot.
Normally, I say I'm good at math, Monster. Normally, I say I'm probably one of the best. I carried the 1, I multiplied the 2, but this one was so close, and it got even closer by the fact that they won,
That's
which
so
opened up a
true.
spot at the bottom. Donnie went up, he went over, just spoiled and squandered any chance that Zip had to continue that high ground and run away for the heel off end. But congratulations, Seek, Joji, and Donnie yet again. Honestly, Monster, at this point, with how well they've been playing, I'm not sure it would have been the finals without him.
Yeah, listen, we need to see this team up there. They played very well, and it just shows you that competitors are gonna compete. They want that win whether they know they're taking it or not. What a fun game from us and them there. Well, listen, Group 2's wraps from Monster, Jacob here. We're calling it. We're gonna shoot it on over to Zeke. Bring us on home.
Thank you so much, MDF and Jacob. Great games today, and the next time we'll be seeing them is tomorrow for group number 3 as well. Donnie, Joji, Seek get themselves the victory royale. We saw Donnie come close a couple times, right? They kind of had those top 5 moments time and time again, but finally they lock up the victory royale. They go ahead and say, Zeke, we'll be seeing you in the grand finals.
Yeah, to get 2 second places during the group stages. You know, I know everyone says that the group stages aren't like real set lobbies, but that's still pretty impressive. And then to round things off with a victory royale, that's what I love to see. Big shout outs, of course, to this trio right here. And honestly, Donnie, Joji, Seek, like we said earlier, that this is a trio, all of them individually, we have heard these names time and time again. And this might finally be the trio where we see them kind of climb up the leaderboard and break into our top 10, top 5. And obviously that's where they want to be, Vivid, because that's where the global championships tickets are.
Yeah, I mean, obviously today is all about, you know, the victory royales, and then we got the consistency leaderboard. Of course, you're going to find yourself on that consistency leaderboard if you are finding consistent. And what's more consistent than feeling like it's like deja vu? Every single one of these end games has Donnie alive trying to clutch it up in some sort of 1v2, 1v3, 1v something. It just felt like it was on repeat today. And what better way to kind of end the day out with him finally kind of making it happen right there. And yeah, like Jacob mentioned right there, somebody might have been gifted a grand finals appearance on a silver platter, depending on how that leaderboard shakes up.
We'll get there in a second. First, let's relive those victory royales, right? Who got them on the day? As we remind ourselves, here's a nice little graphic. Maybe you're tuning in, maybe you just got off work or something, you just watching, you stopping by. Here's a little recap for you guys. In that last game, obviously we saw Seek, Joji, Donnie get themselves the victory royale, but it started with visuals, raids, and a minish, getting that VR in game number 1. And of course, guys, I can't forget game number 2, when my power went out. Don't worry about it. But there's also that next question then, friends. Who made it in? Of course, we have 5 trios who made it in through consistency, which just means after those 5 yars, wherever you end up in the top 5 will also go through to the grand finals. We have a list to take a look at here. Now this won't tell the full story because this is just going to show us the top 5 teams that did not make it in.
Must not made it. Oh my.
The story continues when we look at the standings. But first, obviously, Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo. Wow, Kelly, 100 points ahead of Phaser, King, and of course PH Zin. Really had a showing today. I guess my question is, can we continue this, right? Can we bring this kind of ferocity into the grand finals where things are going to be pretty different?
100%. Ionzo, Higgs, and Clicks have
another
proved
team
themselves time and time again through set lobbies, through
must only play
scrims,
full
that
game.
they can easily bring
Another
this kind of
team that
action
think he
into
has
the grand
made it.
finals. And honestly, you look
I
at like their
need to see
scores,
how
it's
much,
not just
but
making it top 10
they
in
will
every
play
single one of the
another
games that we saw
game.
today,
That
but also their
he made
ability
it.
to grab 14, 10, 16 eliminations. You know, I feel like we saw a little bit of this from Acorn, Agers, and Poyo in week 1. And, you know, I don't hate replays. I'm a big fan of having, you know, these repetitive play styles like what we see from Clicks, Higgs, and Iamzo. But are they going to be able to, now with this domination, carry that into the grand finals?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't think they're going to have any trouble kind of doing that. I mean, they look like they're just playing so well right now. Obviously, we've seen them play in finals throughout the year. Every single time they look very, very good. They've been placing super, super well. The only thing that's really left for them to do this year is to actually win it. So it's exciting to see them perform very, very well today. And of course, clutch up, get that grand finals qualification. Nobody really had a doubt.
That's right. That's right. Also, of course, King, PH, Zin. We love to see them kind of come out and in that top 5, right? Phaser alongside all of them. Just a fantastic showing from them. Let's bring up those standing though. So I did hint at a story here. So obviously that 10th place is essentially the top 5. We know that
Top
cutoff
10.
is 163 points. If we flip on over to that second page, 2 things to shock. First off, 11th place, Noah W plays, bro. What the heck? Let's go. Only 2 points off of qualification, and it's crazy
Yeah,
that
Mike
we didn't
need to
see
win
like a
that
lot of
game.
Noah making like a lot of big kind of flashy plays, but the consistency really shown through in their performance, almost making it out, but that's okay. Run's not done. We still have LCQ. Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx though in that 12th place unfortunately did not make it in. We did see they only had the 4 of 5 games played. You know, had they gotten that additional game in, I think things could have been different for sure. But of course, for them, it's same story, right? They still have the last chance qualifier. It's not over. This is Muzz we're talking about, right? If we have to take it to an LCQ,
Wow.
I feel confident enough to say they'll likely earn themselves a spot. Right? I mean, this is Muzz. I mean, this is Muzz.
Yeah, I don't want to be biased, but there was a moment there where Clix' trio jumped in on Muzz and his duo mate, and I was like, no, please. But you know, again, I can't be biased on the broadcast. That wouldn't be right. I think last chance qualifier is just rough, man, and it's Muzz. It's, you know, you think that they would automatically get it in, but Vivid, you just don't know with the LCQ.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to clutch up for that. But I tell you what, you know, Jacob's kind of wish came true right there. We saw Scare, Cause, and Magma in 10th place. Now, if Donnie did not end up winning that game and the win did go to Zip, who was sitting in 15th place, then that qualification spot would not have rolled down to them. So sure enough, one team did qualify because that did end up happening. So pretty cool to see them kind of clutch up and make it into that 10th place spot as well and clutch that grand finals qualification.
Oh man, we are so close, right? Next weekend, it is going to be so much fun. But of course, I think that's pretty much it for today. We only have tomorrow to come back to watch group number 3 for not only us, but EU as well. And then we're going to have a really good picture of grand finals next weekend. And then next weekend, we will know who is going to be rounding out our trios going to the global championship. Time is flying. Yeah, guys, before we say goodbye, why don't we guys have closing thoughts from you two?
I am so excited for tomorrow. I am so excited to see what happens. Group 1 and Group 2 have not disappointed yet. And I know that Group 3, some people might be saying maybe it's one of the more sleeper of the groups for North American Central. But for me personally, I think it's going to be one of the more fun ones.
Yeah, I mean, a sleeper with Peter Bonana, we can never count him out. He will always put on a show and entertain us for sure. But I'm most excited for next weekend, honestly, grand finals after groups 1 and group 2. I'm excited to get all of these teams in the same lobby and see how all those play styles kind of clash. Who's going to be going for higher ground then? Who's going to be claiming the lower ground? It's going to be exciting.
And of course, like you said, Vivid, when we're in grand finals, you know, you're not only making a statement to your region, you're making a statement to the others, right? Hey, this is my POI. If you want to fight, let's go, you know. So we'll see. That's it from us today, though, at least until tomorrow. Don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow, group 3, same time, same great place. Make sure you're here, mark your calendars, set your timers, all that stuff.